We got Browns coaching news. Now, maybe not the news that we all expected. Kind of waiting for an extension for Kevin Stefanski, waiting for an extension for Andrew Barry, but reports out this morning, changes with the assistant coaches. Most, I would say important, but Alex Van Pelt reportedly telling players yesterday that he has been let go. Now, there have been reports out this morning contradicting that, saying that no decision has yet been made, but I still think it brings up an interesting question about Kevin Stefanski calling the plays for the Cleveland Browns. He has held on to that role because he felt like, and I quote from Coach, that's still in the best interest of the team. Well, if you bring in a new OC, does that maybe change things? Stump Mitchel, who we all loved in this town, reportedly gone. Guy you didn't even know was on the team coaching staff, T.C. McCartney. Sucks. This is never a good thing. But the Browns are making moves. People are already starting to jump on what that means or why these moves were made. We got a lot to get to discuss the Browns this morning. We're going to get on the carousel today, right? We're going to go on around the NFL. We're going to call our shots. Who gets what jobs? Cavs in action tonight, baby. Our Tipico boost is already up. Use that code Fontana100 when you sign up. We got the morning update. We got a pretty big time hop to get to as well. Locked and loaded. Got you going right here on Big Play. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Matt Fontana. He is Ryan Tyler. Good morning. Happy to have alongside as well. We'll take you up till 11 o'clock this morning as always. And the news coming out this morning. First start with Josina Anderson on Ken Carman, Anthony Lyman this morning, that the Browns are making moves to their coaching staff. Reportedly, and I can't say that enough, that this is reportedly Alex Van Pelt, who still has a year left on his deal, but then I've seen some things out this morning that that's not for sure yet. Stump Mitchel, running backs coach, and T.C. McCartney, who was the tight ends coach. And like when you hear coaching moves, some of them like last year, little teaser for time hop. Browns are going to hire Jim Schwartz 1 year ago today. That came out. And sometimes coaching moves like that, they work out. Now, nobody, and this is a bad pun, I'm sorry, Ryan. Nobody was defending Joe Woods last year, frankly, because they didn't defend against anybody. All right. You make that move and you see what it elevated you to on that side of the football. With Van Pelt, which is where I want to focus, and again, it's not official that they're moving on from Alex Van Pelt. He's still under contract. He still has a year to go. But the first thing that I thought of was Kevin Stefanski. Because I already got the messages this morning, right? Well, what did Alex Van Pelt even do, right? He didn't call plays, and he was just kind of behind the scenes and maybe helping Kevin Stefanski. But then I thought about it, because one of the things about Stefanski is the calling of the plays. And there were people at times, and maybe you're still there, that want him to just be that head coach, just be that game day CEO. You're watching every element of the game, and you're not worried about calling plays. That's not, some coaches still do that, but a lot of the big coaches in the NFL now, they call plays. Then there's the other side of watching some of these games with the scheme, with how you're doing these routes, you're getting guys open, and the play calling, you go, okay, that's genius. Some of these opening drives that the Browns have had in some games, they're masterpieces. And you say, okay, well, that's great. We love Kevin Stefanski. It just gets so polarizing, I think, on Kevin Stefanski calling the plays or not. So that's the first thing that my mind went to, Ryan, was because Kevin Stefanski was asked about it pretty much every preseason for the last 2 years. Are you still going to call plays? And his answer has always been, as long as that is in the best interest of the team, he was going to keep doing it. And people maybe wanted to read in that Alex Van Pelt wasn't the right guy to do that, or Kevin Stefanski didn't feel confident in that. My take has always been, if you're going to take away the one thing that Kevin Stefanski does the best, something he clearly wants to do, and at times is very successful doing, if you take that away, kind of what's left. And it's almost like that Hugh Jackson thing when they were talking about him giving up things to Todd Haley, and we know the crap storm that got launched after all of that. I don't think it's quite that bad, but it just opened my thoughts to if they brought in an OC that Kevin Stefanski felt confident about, would he turn the play calling over? And we'll post our Twitter question this morning at Matt Fontana Show. Drop us a follow there if you can. Do you want Kevin Stefanski to continue calling plays? Do you want him to continue to be the play caller for this team? Not head coach. We're not getting into that debate today. Do you want him to continue on as the play caller for the Cleveland Browns? That door is as open as it's ever been since he's got here. Because Alex Van Pelt has been here since Kevin Stefanski got brought in. And the answer was always the same. I'm going to keep doing this. I feel like it's the right thing for the team. Well, now, are they going to search for an OC to take that off of Stefanski's plate? Or do they view it kind of how I do? This is what Kevin Stefanski is really good at doing. This is what he wants to do, and this is still in the best interest of the team. I'll be interested to see how the fans come out on this. Because Kevin Stefanski's on his way to go win Coach of the Year. Not Offensive Coordinator of the Year, not Play Caller of the Year, the Coach of the Year. And I really think it's undeniable at this point what Kevin Stefanski has meant from a head coach standpoint. And a lot of times, that is the culture, which we've talked about, the mentality of the team. But there is something to be said about the assistant coaches that you bring onto this team. And for a long time, the Browns, I thought, had a really good list of assistant coaches. Chad O'Shea's the wide receivers coach. A lot of people around the league highly respected. Bill Callahan is one of the best offensive line coaches in football, maybe the best. You know, Stump, that sucks, man, because we all loved Stump. And if you ever got a chance to talk to him, really interesting guy. You know, played a long time in the NFL. I think at one point, and I don't know if this is still true, and I might be making this up, he was the Arizona Cardinals, I don't want to say all-time leading rusher, but he was also like top 5. I'm going to Google that quick. He was 2. That's what it was. Second all-time in Arizona Cardinals / Phoenix, whatever.
Played for 9 seasons, 986 carries, 4,649 yards.
Hell of a beard on Stump Mitchell. He's a great guy. Awesome guy. Went through some health stuff, and he was here. But the other shock this morning is, well, what are you going to do with the running back position? What could he have done with Nick Chubb going down? And it's kind of maybe the same thing with Alex Van Pelt. That one was a little interesting to me. Then we get to the reasoning behind these moves. The Browns are signaling that that was not good enough, okay? Are they making these moves to have the facade that they think that? Are they making the moves because they lost out in the playoffs? Yes, we know they maybe shouldn't have made it and everything they've overcome. But when you don't make it, usually what happens is change. Rosters change every year. It's rare that coaching staffs don't. And for a couple of years of Kevin Stefanski, they didn't. You had the big shakeup last year, defensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, had some moves on that defensive side of the football, and you see what that unlocked. Is that maybe part of the thinking on this? Or do the Browns feel pressured to make a move like this just to say, we did something had to change? I don't necessarily buy that. I think the Browns made these moves because they believe they weren't getting the best out of whatever it might be. And I don't know the answers to that. But I would believe that Kevin Stefanski, who has control over his coaching staff, felt like moves needed to be made. People want to jump on the conspiracy theories. Oh, you know, this is Paul DePodesta. This is Andrew Berry. This is them trying to save their jobs. We're not at that point. Are we really at that point that you got to start throwing people overboard to save yourselves? I don't think so. I don't. These are not some of the Browns teams of the past where you start firing coordinators and assistant coaches to save yourself. Kevin Stefanski is in very good standing. And the other thing is, Ryan, if the moves that reportedly came out this morning, if they didn't make a single move, would that have shocked you? Was anybody sitting here really pounding the table and said, God, we got to get Alex Van Pelt out of here? I don't think so. So I really think these moves were made for football reasons. They didn't see something that they needed to. And at the end of the day, maybe it's just a little bit of new blood. Maybe it's just a little bit of a new angle, a new view on something, a new scheme. I'm intrigued. I'm kind of excited. And especially with as many coaching moves as we're seeing across the league, you might be able to snag a guy. You might be able to snag somebody. I don't even want to start running through lists and names and stuff like that, but you never know who you get. Would Jim Harbaugh take an offense? I'm just kidding. We'll get to him later on the coaching carousel because now he's going back to Michigan with all these demands. He met with the Falcons, so we'll do that coming up at 9:30. But when I saw these moves this morning, Ryan, I said, okay, the Browns felt like they were deficient in these areas. A move was needed to be made. I'm not really alarmist in any way, but my question remains. Do you think that this is something about Kevin Stefanski maybe not calling plays anymore? Would that door is now the most open that it's been?
Yeah, well, whenever you bring somebody new onto the staff, what do we always ask, Matt? We always ask, well, was this Kevin's decision? Was this upper management? What did Andrew Berry think? I'm not even sure we still have an answer on who really was the main guy to bring in Schwartz, whether it was Stefanski, whether it was Berry. I don't even know if we got an answer on that or if we ever will. But you got to imagine Kevin Stefanski now about to probably get his second Coach of the Year award within these last 4 years. He's going to have more pull than ever coming in this offseason with this Browns team. But maybe it was just something as simple. I don't know. They didn't change in philosophy. They didn't see eye to eye. You look at Deshaun Watson. Maybe they didn't think they were close to unlocking that ability from Deshaun Watson that they need. Maybe there was something Pelt didn't see eye to eye with. I don't know. But then to your point, did you really think nothing was going to happen this offseason? Our expectations are just getting higher and higher now. And I'm thinking, like, I got to imagine if Alex Van Pelt's been here for 3 years now. A guy like Stump Mitchell has been here for a little bit. You got to imagine if these coaches weren't getting kind of poached or a word taken away from from another team. You got to imagine. I mean, there's got to be a reason behind that as well.
That's a good point because Stefanski calls the plays. So Alex Van Pelt as an OC, if he had a job that was the play caller of a team, you would imagine he would jump and go do that. You mentioned Deshaun Watson, and that's a great point to bring up. We've discussed this. We put the clip out yesterday. This entire season will ride on Deshaun Watson. This entire season will ride on Deshaun Watson. And maybe it's that simple, that they need something else going here, or they need to unlock something else with Deshaun Watson that they just weren't getting with AVP. I don't know.
And what I found interesting, Josina Anderson obviously was the one who came out with the report that these firings occurred and whatnot with Van Pelt. And she said, she was asked about what she thought maybe was it Deshaun a big factor in this decision, and she said she didn't think at all, which I found super interesting because how could these not be everything about Deshaun Watson?
Oh, I would look at everything through the lens of what is the best for Deshaun Watson. From an offensive standpoint, yes, that is it. Like, that everything has to go through that lens. Now, the belief might be we'll get him there, and we believe in Alex Van Pelt to unlock that from Watson. Because when you see firings, and I think this is probably more from Stump, maybe to Alex Van Pelt, the easy chalk up would be, bro, what did you want us to do? We lost Chubb, we lost Watson, we lost all these pieces. That wasn't a good enough answer. Like the Stump Mitchell one is that I sit there and I go, well, wait a minute. Kind of what did you want him to do with Kareem Hunt and Jerome Ford, and especially with that offensive line? Because the same thing, they didn't fire Bill Callahan. I don't think they ever will. Maybe that was, dude, Bill got handed an even harder job where literally 4 out of his starting 5 offensive linemen missed time at some point this year. Wyatt Teller was the only Iron Man for this team. Every other position either missed a game or missed a good chunk of a game, and you still pieced it together. And that's why Bill Callahan is still here, right? Again, I'm not trying to throw stones here. The wide receiving core was not good this year. They just were not, outside of Amari Cooper. Chad O'Shea, again, what do you want to do? There's only so much that a coach can do with the players that they're given. David Njoku had a career year, yet T.C. McCartney, the tight ends coach, is not here anymore. And I know it's an assistant. I know these are not the biggest moves for the Cleveland Browns. And again, the coordinator position for Alex Van Pelt is an interesting one on a title, but I would just look at it and say, you had all these built-in excuses. There must have been something that Kevin Stefanski didn't like. And I will subscribe to sometimes a change is just needed. Sometimes after years, you just need a fresh voice in there. And in addition, you bring in a guy that has a different philosophy or can bring something new to the table. Sometimes it is just strictly a time thing. Now, you said something to me right before the show about Alex Van Pelt. And you kind of brought up a good point. What exactly was he doing? We don't know, right? And I'm not going to diminish the job that he was doing. He was helping create the game plan. He was helping to create this scheme. And also this year with Drew Petzing leaving to go to Arizona, he took over more of that quarterback coach role too. And they felt like they weren't in a good position. They felt like they weren't in a good spot. What are you missing? I don't know. But it was clear the Browns feel like they needed to make a move, and they did. So I'm not going to be so much an alarmist about these moves. They obviously felt like they needed to be made. But I'm interested to see where the people come out about this, saying this is the most open the door has been for Kevin Stefanski to not call plays anymore.
And maybe the Browns, they look at this coaching pool coming up, and maybe they see somebody they really like and think they can get. And maybe Kevin Stefanski would even want, maybe he wants to give up that play calling. I don't know. It's way too early to think about anything. But yeah, I get it.
Because now at this point where he's gone through so much, Kevin Stefanski deep down knows the answer to this question. Is it too much for him to call plays? He knows that answer. I don't know that answer. You don't know that answer. We would feel like it's not too much because he's one coach of the year. And people get upset about some of the in-game decisions. And I've screamed this from the mountaintop, and I'll scream it here again. They're gonna go for it on fourth down. That is the NFL model now in today's day and age. You don't like it, take the points, do that. Put that aside for a second, because people look at that as one of the biggest indicators on, well, are they watching the game? There's some people out there that try to make it sound like Kevin Stefanski doesn't actually watch the game, that all he's doing is in that Denny's playbook calling play. That's not true. And I will tell you that I think as far as in-game management, because that's the other big thing when it comes to Stefanski calling plays, is the in-game management. I think he's doing fine. Now, again, deep down, he really knows I just got by the skin of my teeth, or this wasn't as efficient as I want it to be, or I need somebody else to take a more active role. Maybe that's the truth. That could be the reason behind all of this. Or it could be as simple, we needed a new voice in there. We're going to try to unlock some new things with Deshaun Watson, and we're going to need somebody that's a little more specific in that. Coaches, even on the lower level, have a scheme that they run or a thing that they're really good at. And maybe Alex Van Pelt was not what Deshaun Watson needed. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. And that's maybe why this move is made.
Yeah, Matt, I think it's pretty clear now, at least to me and you, because there's always the anti-Stefanski crew. But he's in very good grace with the Haslams, and he's here to stay. An extension's going to come any day now, I think, with Barry as well. Maybe now that he has that, he's going to get that extension under his belt. He's proven to everybody that he is that guy. He's a good coach, one of the best right now in the NFL. The award's going to show that. Maybe now he's more comfortable kind of saying, hey, I proved myself. Maybe I can take a step back from the play calling. We can get a guy in here that can help me, or just call the plays himself. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You're in a positive standpoint for this. This is the biggest news for us right now. Assistant coaches. We're not looking for a new coach. We're not getting rid of these players. Like, players will come, and there will be maybe some moves that are shocking here and there, but you're still coming from a position of strength. You are still coming from a spot that these are the moves that you're going to make. You feel like they're improving the team. You wouldn't make these moves unless you felt like you're going to improve the team. And again, with this coaching cycle, and as crazy as it's been, I didn't want the Browns to have to enter and dip their toe into the water for a head coach, but still. All right. And I'm just going to bring a name up. And I'm just going to say this guy, okay? Arthur Smith is available, okay? Now, he didn't work down in Atlanta as the head coach, but you get my point. There are coaches available. And maybe the Browns viewed the landscape, because don't forget the timing on this. They have waited to see all of these other jobs kind of open up. And it's not even so much of just bringing up Arthur Smith, right? But like guys like that with a new coaching tree coming in LA and Atlanta and New England and all these other places, it shakes things up. And maybe there's a guy that Kevin Stefanski has had his eye on for a while, and he said, I got a chance to get this guy now. He's on thin ice, or his coach got fired, or maybe he straight up is available. And they go get a guy like that. I seriously, I just brought Arthur Smith up as I was trying to think of an offensive-minded head coach that got
somebody
fired.
mention Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, but the same thing. Like, take that name out of it, but that type of guy, right? There's shakeups. Would he really stay in New England? There might be available guys out. Who knows? I don't know. That's maybe the timing of this is interesting. And especially with other teams that might lose their OCs. Ben Johnson might be going to a new spot. Bobby Slowick might go into. It's just the shakeup, and it sounds like the Browns felt like this was the right time to make a move. I just brought up Arthur Smith just because I'm not saying that he is
maybe
the
the Browns are playing chess. Hear me out.
Sure.
Let's say I think
chess.
I think Harbaugh's going to go to the Chargers. That's what I said. And it kind of seems like every day that's getting more and more realistic, especially with we'll get into that contract that he requested for Michigan.
Interesting stuff.
What if Harbaugh comes in there, kind of, does his own regime, blows it up there? A name to watch out for, Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore.
I would love some Kellen Moore to come in here and play.
Maybe that's it.
And call plays for Deshaun Watson.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. The names you grab onto the names. But again, there's so much shakeup. The Browns feel like they could make a move here. They feel like there's a guy they've got an eye. Because make no mistake, they're too smart. They didn't get rid of these guys without having names of who they're going to interview, or at least options out there. And I did do a quick search. Arthur Smith and Kevin Stefanski have never crossed paths. They've never crossed paths. Arthur Smith was in college until he was with the Titans for over a decade before he went and took that Atlanta Falcons job. So there's shakeup. And again, doesn't mean you have to work with that guy, but I thought it was interesting to hear these moves out. Cast your vote, though, Ryan, on our Twitter question this morning. Do you want Kevin Stefanski to still call plays?
I don't know if I can sit here and answer that right now. I think it's
required, though, by contract to answer the question.
I mean, if Kevin Stefanski's at the point where he's willing to give up
contract out, I got to.
If he's willing to give up play calling and he goes and he finds a guy that he identifies that
required to answer poll questions. Paragraph 6, line 4.
See, I'm not going to sit here and say that I want him to stop playing calls, but I'm not going to. But I'm also not opposed to giving up that playbook to somebody else and maybe opening it up to get Deshaun Watson to play at the level we haven't yet. I don't know. That's like an impossible until I know their motive behind this. And maybe I won't ever. I don't know if I can answer that.
The thing is, with Kevin Stefanski, which we know it's a small sample size, did Deshaun Watson ever look really that good with Stefanski calling play last year into this year? Now, you want to say that it was chopped up because he wasn't playing consistently. They didn't get a chance to get everything fully integrated into the offense and get the scheme exactly where they wanted it to. I don't know. I'm unequivocally yes. I'm unequivocally. I pause there for a second. I think that's what Kevin Stefanski is best at. I think he's good at what he does, and I like the scheme that they have put together. The thing is, this is a very final type of move. If they made the decision to remove the play calling from Kevin Stefanski, you don't really go back to that, right? You make that move. I'm intrigued enough, and maybe this is the downfall of all of this. I'm intrigued enough to see it with Stefanski. Because even if you brought in an OC, that is also brand new for Watson calling, or for Watson as a play caller. And again, it all comes back to the pressure of this season. The pressure on this team for the 2024 season, and specifically Deshaun Watson, is through the roof. They have no choice but to be successful and win playoff games next year. They have to do that. They have got to unlock Deshaun Watson and get him back to playing the way that he was playing back there in Houston. So maybe, again, in that sample that Kevin Stefanski has with Deshaun Watson of last year and this year, maybe he had the realization, you know what? This doesn't fit with what I do, or this doesn't fit of the scheme that I have, and I got to bring somebody else in to do it. That's job preservation is what that is. If he's admitting, which takes a big person to do, to admit, I can't do this, so I'm going to bring somebody else in to do it. I will remain the head coach, which is an important position still, and I will have, but then I get to like the meddling. Dude, I just go back to Hugh so much. And all these things about when he got back into the offensive game with Todd Haley and those lines that he said about, well, I see it going bad, I'm going to help, and I'm going to step back in. Like, I believe Kevin Stefanski wouldn't do that. I'd like to believe that. But it's still what he does. That's his job. That's what he's made his name doing. I don't think he's giving it up. And I don't want him to give it up at this point. You bring in somebody that's maybe got the more experience. You bring in somebody that maybe fits a little more of what Deshaun Watson wants to do. And it's a voice, and it's a vision, and it's another mind in that room to try to unlock Deshaun Watson. But make no mistake, this move has everything to do with him. You're changing your offensive coordinator, reportedly, in a year that you need to go win playoff games. You need to get Deshaun Watson back to form. Those things are connected. Make no mistake that those things are connected. Yet another reason it all falls on him. If they bring in the right guy for the job, that's yet another thing that you can't look to. You know what I mean? If you bring in the right OC, whether they're calling plays or not, they basically have done everything to support Deshaun Watson. Outside of maybe another receiver, which I hope they get. You've done everything to put him in the right position. And if he fails, I'm going to tell you it's on him. It's on him. And I don't want to live in that world. And I don't want to think of everything that's going to happen with the Browns if that happens. But you've done everything at this point that you can to get it fixed up and figured out. All right, other things I want to get to. We'll get to some Cavs, some big news with Ohio State as well. They have a new athletic director. What the hell does that mean? What does anybody care? I'm a little worried. A little worried about that. We'll get to it. But Cavs tonight, Ryan. Typico boost. You got it?
Oh, Matt, do I have it?
I'm just making sure. There it is.
We got to see one go through today, Matt.
We've been close. Here it is tonight, folks, with our friends at Typico. 3-leg parlay. Cavs, Bucks tonight. What do we got? First off, I like the under tonight. Under has gone 8 out of the last 10 games between the Bucks and the Cavs at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. That's number one. Number two, Brook Lopez. Under 2.5 blocks.
He's not doing it.
That's Ryan's leg of it. And we will go Jared Allen over 16.5 points tonight. He's going to have to defend Giannis. It's going to be a tough game on that standpoint. You're going to need him to score. So there it is. 3 legs. Jared Allen, 17 or more points. Brook Lopez, under 3 blocks. And under 237. That is boosted to an impressive plus 600. Get signed up with our friends at Typico. Use that code Fontana100 when you sign up. You deposit and bet $25 with the code Fontana100. You get $100 in bonus bets. Get geared up for the weekend of football. Get geared up for college basketball, NBA, hockey, whatever you want to bet, they got it for you on Typico. Get signed up today with that code Fontana100 and join us on our boost if you will. My bet is already in on our boost. We're ready to go up there at Typico. Oh, I should explain this a little bit easier too. If you want to get to our boosts, do this. All you do is go to Typico, the app, click on the Cavs game. If you click on the Cavs game, because I had somebody ask me this, like the easiest place to find the boost. Now, number one, up in the corner at Typico, they just have a boost tab. And you'll see every boost for every sport that they have. You want to get into some American Express, the golf this weekend? Patrick Cantlay to win this weekend, plus 1100.
I cannot wait for the Masters, Matt.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Tennis, Australian Open going on there. So you just go to the boost or you go to the game itself. So if you click on the Cavs Bucks for tonight, you will see a boost of Donovan Mitchell and Dame Lillard to combine for 8 or more threes. That's boosted to 130. And then our boost is right below it. 3-legger there, plus 600. Get signed up with our friends at Typico using that code Fontana100. One last thing with the Browns before we get to our break. And coming up, we're going to do the NFL coaching carousel. We're going to get on it.
Please don't do that.
Please, why not? We're just riding the carousel.
Please don't do that.
Riding the carousel. I'm going to break the chair over here is what I'm going to do. We're going to get on the coaching carousel before any hires have officially been made. Ryan and I will run through all the openings. We'll give you some pros, some cons for each, and we will make our selections on who's going to get each one of those jobs. But I did want to get to this morning from ESPN, the Browns off-season guide. Are you ready to go? Here we are. Browns record this year, 11-6. Final FPI ranking, 15. Estimated 2024 cap space, we are $12.7 million over the cap.
It's not real.
It's not. It's
not
okay.
real.
They'll restructure. They'll save that money.
We know
it's
that's
not
a fake
problem.
number.
And they do not have a first-round draft pick, as we know. And this is all from Jeremy Fowler, Matt Miller, Jake Trotter, all this. The biggest off-season priority for the Cleveland Browns, according to ESPN, extending Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry. The Browns have frantically cycled through coaches and GMs over the years since 1999. The franchise has finally found a winning pair. They need to lock up this coaching staff and front office for the foreseeable future. I agree with that. From Jake Trotter, the under-the-radar off-season priority, a big-time playmaker. I don't think that's under the radar. That's got to be close. We know Cooper, Njoku, and Nick Chubb off the injury. Browns need to look another big-time playmaker or two, especially at the receiving position. I am begging them to go get a receiver in free agency. We've run through the list. T. Higgins is going to get paid. Mike Evans is going to get paid. I know that. For the love of God, we need another receiver on this team. So under the radar, sure, that's a giant blip on mine. That's massive to get it done for an offseason priority for the Browns. Latest on whether they will re-sign Joe Flacco. This is from Jeremy Fowler. On paper, he's hardly considered a marquee free agent, a practice squad player thrust into action late in the season. But he got the Browns thus far. Does Cleveland, entertain at least bringing back Flacco, even with Watson on the roster? It seems far-fetched due to the commitment to Watson, but the questions are still worth asking. Flacco has created a market for himself. That's from Jeremy Fowler. I will say it. I'm going to say it again. He's not coming back. He's going to go play somewhere, probably make a little bit more money, and you are all in on Deshaun Watson. You have no choice but to be all in on Deshaun Watson. You can't keep Joe Flacco hanging around here. That'll drive the fan base nuts, and that's not fair to the situation that you're in. If Watson's your guy, you can't keep Flacco around. He will be moving on. Draft outlook from Matt Miller. No first-round pick for the upstart Browns. They will look to round 2 to add playmakers at receiver and or linebacker. Drafting later in the 3rd round could find a playmaker like Jalen Polk, available at wide receiver, who we saw with the Washington Huskies. The biggest prediction for the offseason from Aaron Schatz. Despite questions about his return from a knee injury, the Browns will sign Nick Chubb to an extension that will allow him to be here past the 2024 season, lowering his cap charge to help the Browns get under. Big running back contract may surprise some, coming from the analytically forward Cleveland Browns, but the advanced analytics generally portray Chubb as one of the few running backs who truly make a difference. I said that around the injury time, and I've said it again too. I want Nick Chubb to only ever play football for the Cleveland Browns for as long as he can play. That's it. I think they will sign him to an extension. I think he deserves that extension. And even if the money doesn't always match up, if you don't get every single penny out of the deal, I don't care. He means so much to this town. And as Schatz writes there, he is one of the few running backs that is actually worth it. He is one of the guys that it still makes sense to sign to that deal. I'm as nervous as anybody that knee injury. You know, my wife and I went to lunch the other day, and we were listening, and she said something about Nick Chubb. She's like, oh, is that knee injury that bad? And I go, oh, yeah, it was pretty bad. She's like, well, is everybody just assuming he's going to come back healthy? And I was like, no. I mean, it's still a pretty serious injury, but you have the belief. Again, he had to overcome the knee injury in college, too. You believe he's going to come back. I think they're going to sign him to an extension. For the fans, for us, for Chubb, for the team, I think that's the right move, no question asked. So I kind of agree with this outlook. I agree with everything in here from ESPN. Extend Stefanski, Berry, and Chubb. Find me a playmaker. You need to draft a wide receiver or sign one, and Joe Flacco's not coming back. I agree with every little element of that, Ryan. Anything jumps out to you on that?
No, I completely agree with the sense. You got to draft a wide receiver. That's just straight up obvious. And I do kind of like drafting a linebacker because we don't know still. Both our Mikes and Walker and Taki are unrestricted free agents, so we'll see if they're going to come back. And then
they signed both those guys off coming off injuries too, right?
Yeah.
Last year.
So we'll see. But no, yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah. Dude, the mass exodus from Alabama is on. They are losing players every single day. Now their All-American safety, Caleb Downs, is entering the transfer portal. Come on up to Columbus.
Matt, the real question, though, about Chubb is if he's going to be ready to go by camp or if he's going to be placed on the PUP.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I would imagine everybody gets so... come back in an ACL in 10 months and all that kind of dude is more than just the ACL. I would imagine he misses the start of the season.
I think he'll be on the PUP.
That's fine. And you know what? If you get him back mid-season, you turn things back over to Jerome Ford. Because don't forget, folks, that offensive line got decimated. I know it wasn't quite what you thought with the running game with Ford and Kareem Hunt. A lot of that has to do with the offensive line injuries too, which you believe those guys will all be back and healthy, and those are still decisions that have to be made this offseason as well. But I believe there'll be a little turnaround there for quite a few things. All right, you want to do this? Let's catch our break. I'm really excited to do this. Not this. But the coaching carousel. We will jump on it. We're going to go team by team. We'll give you some pros, we'll give you some cons, and we will make our pick on who goes where for the NFL coaching cycle. We'll get to that next. Fontana Show, presented by Tipico. Use that code Fontana100 when you sign up. We'll get to all of it next. Big play taking you up to 11. The carousel is next. All right, let's do it. NFL coaching carousel right here on the Matt Fontana Show. Welcome back. We're up on Big Play. Follow us on Twitter. We're up on YouTube and as well on Instagram at Matt Fontana Show. So here's how it's going to work, Ryan. We're going to run through each of the openings in the NFL. We're going to give you some pros and cons as we view it of each of the teams. And we will make our decisions on who we think will go where. We want to do this before really a lot of the jobs have been, hired, so to speak. So we have some options there. So let's run through it. Now, the first one we start with is the job that's already good. That is D'Amico Ryans. That is the other defensive-minded guy that took a head coaching job. Gerard Mayo taking the job up there with the New England Patriots. So he's got that job. Quick pro-con list there for the Patriots. Pro. Cons. I don't think there's much with that job. You don't have a quarterback. You're replacing a legend. I mean, the only positive I could see for that job, you've been there for so long. You're a former player. I think that carries a little bit of weight. That's kind of a negative job, in my opinion, though, with the New England Patriots. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is, of course, the quarterback. I think Mac Jones is going to get cut. He's clearly not the answer there. You really don't even have a viable backup there with Bailey Zappi, who's proven he's not capable of starting. So they're really going to have to restart the whole thing there in New England and expect them to try and start that in the draft.
So here we go. There are right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 openings. We are going to do our pro-con list, discuss each team before we start to place our coaches. Number 1, the Atlanta Falcons. Pro. You have some offensive playmakers. Bijan Robinson, if they can unlock Kyle Pitts. I'm not a big Drake London guy. And that defense at times played really well. Jesse Bates, a really good safety. There's your pro. Your cons are, another pro, you are going to be in a winnable division. I think the NFC South is pretty wide open. I know the Bucs are still there, and they made the playoffs, and they won that game and all that. You feel like that's a pretty winnable division. The cons are you still don't have a quarterback. And I guess that could be viewed as a pro if you bring in the right guy. They are viewed as a team, and I know ESPN put this list out yesterday, which was interesting. Of all the teams that are just a quarterback away, do you feel like Atlanta is just a quarterback away?
Quarterback and coach, 100%. Okay. I actually think Atlanta is more attractive than people are making it.
Oh, fair enough. All right. So cons, again, you don't have the quarterback there. I think semi-stable ownership to that point.
I told you exactly how I'd fix the Falcons if I was Arthur Douglas.
Arthur Blank,
excuse me, Arthur Douglas. You send the house everything you possibly can to make Chicago trade you Justin Fields. You force them to take that deal. They'd be more inclined because they can just move on to Caleb Williams. I told you who I said I want in there, and that's Mike Vrabel.
Yep. Next up, Carolina Panthers. We'll make all our picks at the end, too, of who we think's going where. All right, so hold on to that. We'll do the picks at the end. Carolina Panthers. Pro, you got Bryce Young. Con, you got Bryce Young. You're forced. Your job is to fix him there. Horrible season. You're not getting your first overall pick. I think another big con for the Carolina Panthers they are angry. It's an angry fan base. Watch your drinks around David Tepper. He's angry. That is a very volatile situation down there in Carolina. I don't really like it. Again, pro, I guess you have cap space. You've got Bryce Young. That is probably my least attractive job out of all of them. And that's somebody for me. I don't like Bryce Young. I don't think not that I don't like him as a person. I'm sure he's fine. I don't like him as a quarterback. I don't think he's there. I don't say long, but I don't like the vibes down there. I really think Carolina is the worst job out of all of them. Your thoughts on the Carolina Panthers?
Yeah, I don't know what's worse between the Patriots and Panthers. I guess I would agree with you and say the Panthers. It's pretty close there. But, I mean, at least they might have a quarterback. But they totally have to revamp that offensive line. It's horrible. They need a receiver. Their best receiver is Adam Thielen, who's he'll be retired sooner than later.
We bring up the Raiders knowing that this is probably Antonio Pierce's job, but I think a lot of pros. You have a really good defense. You have playmakers on offense. Again, you still need to find a quarterback, but a team that could just be a quarterback away. The giant con is it's Mark Davis, and you don't know exactly anything that he is going to do. They're in the search for a new general manager as well. I think the Raiders are semi-attractive, but you got to worry about ownership there for sure when it comes to the Raiders.
If they don't hire Antonio Pierce, I don't even know what to say at this point anymore.
I think it's going to be him. We'll get to that. The Chargers, pressure. Number one thing when you talk about the LA Chargers, you have pressure. Now, they have the best quarterback situation of any. You have Justin Herbert. You still have Keenan Allen. They might not have Austin Eckler. They have some receivers, and you have what should be a really good defense. What comes with that is, so all the pros are, that is the best roster. That is the best team that you're looking at. But unfortunately, it's going to come with the most pressure. They still need to hire a general manager as well. That is a vacant position at this point as well under Dean Spanos, who's a fine owner. I don't want to say he's crazy as some of the other ones. I think the Chargers are a pretty attractive job and should have their pick of litter on this one.
Yeah, I think the Chargers is certainly the most attractive job opening here. You have your quarterback in Fields, and Justin Herbert. The most important part, obviously, you still got a good defense. You got Bosa. You got Derwin James locked up for a couple more years there at safety. And yeah, I mean, I've already said who I think it's going to be.
Get to it.
And we'll get to it.
All right, Seattle Seahawks, you're replacing a legend in Pete Carroll, but it was time for him to go. Another team pretty well built, solid ownership, good team. I would say the con there is, again, pressure. There's a few of these teams that with this coaching hire, they expect to make the playoffs again next year. That would be one. Another con might be Geno Smith. I'm not quite sure. I look at that and I say he's a guy that I really believe a lot in, but it's still a pretty good team with the Seattle Seahawks. Thoughts?
Yeah, it's interesting because I can't imagine a new head coach coming in there and loving what they have in Geno Smith at the quarterback. So I got to imagine they're going to find their guy for that system that they like. But like you said, I mean, they still have DK Metcalf. Tyler Lockett might not be there, but still a couple good pieces on defense. Devin Witherspoon has been an absolute stud. So it's a relatively attractive job.
Tennessee Titans tearing everything down. I frankly think as they should. They're moving on from Derrick Henry. He should be on out of there. The pro on that is you are getting in on the ground level in a year that you expect to not be good. I think this is truly a year that they expect the Titans to kind of take another step back. They have some pieces on defense, not really much going on offense. Again, find the right quarterback. I don't think it's Will Levis. Thoughts on the Tennessee Titans job? I think this is another really lower bottom of the barrel type of job that you're going to get there.
Yeah, it's a place with a ton of questions, all the way from, Derrick Henry's gone. He's going to go someplace where he can try and win his first ring before it's all said and done. Will Levis, questionable. I don't know if he's their guy. We'll figure it out. And then, Treylon Burks, I guess, is a plus, but he hasn't really panned out thus far, so they don't really have much to work with there in Tennessee.
Final one, Washington Commanders need a coach, but man, do they have an owner that is pressure-filled, but still, I think, gets it. And they have hired now a general manager. So they brought in this guy named Adam Peters. And they also have former Browns running back Jason Wright as their team president. I actually think the Commanders' arrow is pointing up in a big way. I think Jason Wright was the perfect person to handle all that Dan Snyder stuff. They handled the team name change. They have Josh Harrison there who's willing to spend money. And I think this Adam Peters guy is a really good hire. So he comes over after being the assistant general manager with the 49ers. He was with the 49ers for about 6 years and watched them put that team together. I really like that hire for them with Peters coming in. I think the arrow is pointing up very much for the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, it seems like they're really, really, really desperately trying to get that stink off from Dan Snyder, this new ownership group.
Tomato juice is what you need there.
Yeah, you need a couple gallons of tomato juice there to wash that dirt off.
All right, I'm getting this out because we're going to make some notes here.
But quarterback-wise, Sam Howell kind of looked like he was the answer. They found something, but that last half of the season really trended downward. So they got to figure that out. They got to replace Montez Sweat. Got a couple of good pass catchers there, so they got the pieces. But they're a pretty decently long ways away from competing.
All right, Matt and Ryan. Now I've got it. We're gonna do this. We're gonna rank the jobs. Number one most attractive job in your opinion is who?
Los Angeles Chargers.
I agree with you on LAC. Next, Raiders, Seattle. Do we want to just take the Raiders out of this because we think it's going to be Antonio Pierce?
Yeah.
Okay.
If they don't, it's mind-blowing.
I'm going to go Seattle then as my second most attractive. You'll agree with me on that. Next up, I'm going to talk myself into the Commanders here.
Okay.
Being the most next one.
Okay. For me, it's Atlanta.
Atlanta. Okay. I will go Atlanta next.
I'll go Washington.
Okay.
Next.
You'll go Commies next. So we are now down at the bottom of the Carolina Panthers and the Tennessee Titans. I'm going to go Titans next. I think the Panthers are the worst job. Panthers are the worst job, in my opinion. Would you agree with that?
I'm just trying to balance whether or not Bryce Young can be that quarterback because that's such a key step in turning around.
At least they have the guy, right? At least there's somebody
there. You've got to fix that O-line and give him a chance to actually get the ball out. So I don't know. Out of recency bias, I'll take Tennessee, a little bit more attractive than the job in Carolina.
All right, now here is the list of head coaching candidates in no particular order. Bill Belichick, Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator for the Lions, Jim Harbaugh, Brian Johnson, offensive coordinator for the Eagles, Dan Quinn, defensive coordinator with Dallas, Lou Anarumo with the Bengals, defensive coordinator, Bobby Slowick, offensive coordinator for the Texans, Gerard Mayo already got the job that we know, Brian Flores, defensive coordinator with the Minnesota Vikings, Eric Bieniemy, Mike McDonald, defensive coordinator for the Ravens, Mike Vrabel, and then we kind of just get into the weeds with some of these other guys, Frank Smith, Shane Waldron, all that kind of stuff. So there's at least a list of the candidates. Do we want to start by cherry picking The jobs that we already know. So I want you to put the Raiders in our graphic. We're going to put this graphic up coming a little bit later. You and I both think Raiders, Antonio Pierce.
Yeah.
Pierce, done. We're agreeing on that. Next up, would you join me in agreeing Bill Belichick to the Atlanta Falcons or no?
I think, yeah. Well,
I'm putting Bill to the Falcons. That's my list.
So this is what I want to. This is what I want to happen, and what I think's going to happen.
However you want this on the graphic for everybody to look at.
Okay, then I'll go Vrabel in Atlanta.
Okay,
and that's me really, really wanting that for them.
Okay, let's start back at the top. The LA Chargers. I have continued to say that I think that's Mike Vrabel's job. I'm going to continue that. I'm going to say Vrabel takes the LA Chargers job.
Harbaugh.
Okay. Next up, Seattle. Seattle. They're going to go offensive-minded guy. The question is, you know who it's going to be? Go ahead.
I'm going to say Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson's going to go there. I don't know why. I think they're going to take Bobby Slowick.
Okay.
I think they're going to take Bobby Slowick there. So now we get to, let's do the commies next. The Commanders are up next. That's where I think Ben Johnson is going to go. I think he's going to go there. And that would in turn leave Eric Bieniemy out.
Right.
I don't think they're hiring Eric Bieniemy. I don't know why, but I think they're going to go Ben Johnson there. Your pick for the Commanders.
Yeah, I'm always wondering if Eric Bieniemy's going to get that shot to head coach a team. It's been in the talks for like 3-4 years now, ever since the Chiefs. I'll go Bobby Slowick.
Bobby Slowick goes there. Tennessee Titans. Now, it's weird because they just got done with Vrabel. But would they go to the well again on another defensive-minded head coach?
I know.
Because the first two guys that came to my mind were Flores and Dan Quinn. Because I think Dan Quinn is going to get a job. Does he take this? I'm going to go Brian Flores.
Okay.
I'm going to go Flores there. You?
Raheem Morris.
Okay, I like that.
Rams, DC.
And then finally, the Panthers, and this is one that I actually am, I feel semi-confident that this is how this is going to go. Oh, no, I flipped him around. I think Ben Johnson is going to the Panthers, and I want Brian Johnson in the Commanders. Ben and Brian, two different guys. I want Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator for the Lions. He's going to go down to the Panthers. Brian Johnson is going to take the Commanders' job. What about you for the Panthers?
I'll say Brian Johnson.
Brian
for the
Johnson.
Panthers.
So we flip on that. Do you know who I left out on my list? Jim Harbaugh is going to go back to Michigan.
No.
Yes.
No.
He's going to go back to Michigan.
I don't think he is.
I think if he's already pushing as long as I don't get in trouble for these negotiations or these things with the NCAA, I think he's going to go back. I think this was a giant posturing act by him to make sure that they won't fire him for the transgressions of the cheating scandal. If they're pushing it, now granted, Michigan has not yet accepted that, and there's no deal on the table, but the fact that they're even going back and forth is the reason that I feel like he's not going to coach in the NFL this year. I think he's going to stay in college.
It's a hell of a pitch by Harbaugh.
We'll see. All right, here's our final one. We're going to put this on a graphic. We'll send it out after the show. We both agree. Antonio Pierce is going to take the Raiders job. I think Vrabel goes to the Chargers. I think Bobby Slowick goes to Seattle. I think Brian Johnson takes the Commanders job. Bill Belichick goes to Atlanta. Brian Flores goes to the Titans. And Ben Johnson goes to the Panthers.
Wait, I just realized I left out Belichick, didn't I?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
You can make your change.
Let me think on it.
All right, so here's what you have. You have Harbaugh going to the Chargers, Ben Johnson to Seattle, Vrabel to Atlanta, Slowick to the Commanders, Raheem Morris to the Titans, and then Brian Johnson to the Panthers. And we both agree Antonio Pierce will take the job at the Raiders.
Because just if Bill Belichick doesn't go to the Falcons,
he's got no other job. I'm telling you that right now.
That's
There's
what I'm saying.
no other job that he's going to get.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, I really wanted to, then maybe I'd flip Vrabel. I'll stick with what I have.
All right, stick with what you got. We'll put that up on our graphic. We'll send it out a little bit later in the show. Haven't seen really any updates this morning, Ryan. I've been on Twitter about the Browns' moves this morning. So really kind of a shocker. Again, reportedly, I guess, is this official now? Noah Weiskopf just tweeted that. We got it?
We got it.
We got it. It is official.
The Browns have fired offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt, as well as, of course, running back Stump Mitchell and tight ends coach T.C. McCartney.
Did that come down from the team? It's all but official, right? Let me open up here, see if I got anything from the Browns. I don't think I have anything yet, but still, Josina Anderson said that she was told Kevin Stefanski wanted to change course, which ultimately led to the firing of Alex Van Pelt, Stump Mitchell, and T.C. McCartney. So he didn't like something he saw. Did not like something he saw. So there it is. It's up. We'll talk more about that coming up in hour 2. Browns making some moves on their coaching staff. We got into a really good debate about it this morning. I want to revisit that debate in hour 2 coming up, but you're not going to want to miss the morning update, folks. We got Harbaugh news, but we have huge news when it comes to how you will watch the Guardians, the Cavs, and if you're a Blue Jackets fan, big news with Diamond Sports Group, these regional sports networks. We got that with the morning update. We got the Cavs coming up tonight against the Bucks. Our boost is up on Tipico. Stay with us. Fontana Show, quick break. A lot of news coming up in hour 2. Stay with us. All right, we got some big news to get to here in the morning update. Not only the Browns making their moves this morning, potentially moving on. It's, I think, all but reported that they're going to fire Alex Van Pelt and a couple of their moves. But we also have some massive news on the TV side of things this morning when it comes to Bally's, Diamond Sports Group. We'll get to all that coming up. Let's get to it. Morning update. Ryan, take it away.
All right, Matt, we teed me up. The first domino of this Browns offseason seems to have fallen. Browns are parting ways with offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt, as well as a little more surprising move here, running backs coach Stump Mitchell.
I'm a little shocked on Stump because what would you do with your running backs are all down? And I thought these guys were all in good standing. The report coming out from Josie Anderson is that Kevin Stefanski wanted to move in a different direction. That tells me he didn't like the direction that you were pointing in. Can I entertain you in yet another kind of conspiracy theory? This offense is built for quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield and Joe Flacco. And that's not Deshaun Watson. And they need to make a change for this offense to be Deshaun Watson. You saw Joe Flacco put up numbers that you had not seen with Deshaun Watson at all, right? And I know Watson was injured. I know he was hurt. He plays a different brand of football than Joe Flacco. Even to Baker Mayfield, a different brand of football. So this is Kevin Stefanski saying, what I know and what Alex Van Pelt knows and what this offense knows is not going to work with Deshaun Watson. So therefore, I have got to bring in an offensive coordinator that can even help me get this unlocked for Deshaun Watson. Now, that's a great sell job to even the Haslams and Andrew Berry and everybody else, Paul DePodesta. And I'm not saying at all that Kevin Stefanski's job is on the line or that he needs to have a sell job to keep his head coaching gig. Well, what I'm saying is that's powerful. If he sits down with them and says, I need help, and I'm going to bring help in to unlock what we need in the $230 million quarterback that you guys brought in that we paid here, right? That's powerful stuff. And I do believe that Kevin Stefanski is big enough to do that. So as I try to connect all these dots, they all circle one guy, and that's Deshaun Watson. We all know that. So maybe this was Kevin Stefanski with the ultimate realization that this offense isn't truly set up for Watson, and he's got to bring in somebody else that can help him get to that level. Because all of the best quarterback play that I have seen with Stefanski and Alex Van Pelt has been without Deshaun Watson. You have got to realize that. So this is the change that is needed. Now, the pressure is certainly on that you got to scheme up what this offense is supposed to look like with Watson. And inherently, what does that look like? Less running so he doesn't get hurt? His legs are one of his best weapons? I don't know. That is the job of Kevin Stefanski and whoever his offensive coordinator might be. You're now entering this, vortex. Like there's this craziness out there right now of all these coaches getting their moves and which ones become available. The Browns are now a part of that to see who falls through the cracks, who's out without a job. Or do you go out there and try to make a hire tomorrow and get somebody in here before some of these jobs are snagged up? I don't know. We'll see, but I'm intrigued. Just when and again, I didn't think it was going to be the head coach, but I didn't think we were going to have to be on coach watch, and I'm thoroughly interested. This is big, folks. This is big. This is not just Stump Mitchell and T.C. McCartney. I think this is going to be a big hire for the Browns and Kevin Stefanski. They knocked it out of the park with Jim Schwartz, knocked it out of the park with Bubba Ventrone. Hopefully they'll do it again here with an OC.
Cavs are back in action,
let's go.
Riding a season-high 5-game winning streak. Karis LeVert is a game-time decision. We know Mobley and Garland are still out, hoping to get Garland back by the end of the month if we're lucky.
I heard good news on him getting the wire out of his jaw. He could begin basketball activities. He might be back by the end of the month. We'll see.
And we get another Nance.
We do.
Cavaliers signed Pete Nance to a 10-day contract. Went undrafted in 2023.
Of course, Larry Sr.'s son and Larry Jr.'s brother, Revere High School's own. I watched Pete Nance play in high school, man. He was really good. So congratulations on that. Cavs had an open roster spot with Rubio buyout. So sign him to a 10-day contract. They'll probably do a regular deal there with Craig Porter Jr. soon. And you see what kind of shakes out with the trade deadline. To the game tonight, I will tell you this. I got a bad feeling for tonight. I think Milwaukee is really good. Power rankings, ESPN, number 1, Boston, number 2, Minnesota, number 3, Denver, number 4, Oklahoma City, number 5, the Milwaukee Bucks. Right up on them. The Bucks have bounced back from a brief skid to start the month with 3 consecutive wins, including a blowout when they just throttled Boston. Now, that was the back end of a back-to-back overtime there for Boston when they got beat. Dame Lillard hits that buzzer beater. And now they have 4 game-winning buzzer beaters in his career. Dame Lillard has 4 buzzer beater game winners. Who among active players is number 1? And how many do you think they have? Career buzzer beating shots. Dame Lillard is second amongst active players with 4. Who do you think has the most?
Most buzzer beater shots? Giannis?
No, good guess though.
I don't know.
LeBron.
Oh, that makes sense.
He has 7. 7 career buzzer beater shots. Dame has 4. I know the Cavs are playing well. I got a bad feeling about this game tonight. I do. Now, I will tell you this. I will be more intrigued to see how the Cavs play than whether or not they win or lose. I've been happy with where the Cavs are. And by the way, Milwaukee 5 in the rankings. Scroll down and find the Cavs here for you. Cleveland Cavaliers 10, up from 15. The write-up from Dave McMenamin. Remember when Darius Garland and Evan Mobley on the injured list a month ago and the temperature was rising in the land? I wish it could go up, but it's not. It turns out the Cavs just haven't survived without Garland. They've thrived. They've gone 10-3 against some lesser opponents there since Garland was hurt. JB Bickerstaff saying that Garland's return is imminent. Question becomes whether Donovan Mitchell can stay hot with Garland back in the mix. That's a good problem to have. I want to see what Cavs team shows up tonight. Because the one thing I think I've realized more than anything, without Garland, without Mobley, that I don't know which Cavs team is going to show up. And I had this mantra when this stretch started. I said, I'm just going to take each game at their face value. Cavs are playing well. Milwaukee is really good. I'm staying away from the spread tonight. I don't even want to bet the spread. I hate doing that, especially when I got a bad feeling for the game. I just want to see how the Cavs show up. Because there are games that they just haven't seemed like themselves. I'm excited for the matchup and this little measuring stick to see what you got against one of the best teams in the NBA tonight against Milwaukee. I'll tell you, dude, I'm super excited for this game tonight. I can't wait. We'll see what we got for the Bucks tonight. It's going to be fun.
Well, Matt, you said Jim Harbaugh is going to stay at Michigan. That's your prediction. After it comes out that Jim Harbaugh reportedly told Michigan that he wants a special clause in his contract if he goes back that would allow him to be free of any, whatever you want to call it,
the imminent NCAA investigation. So basically, to just sum it up quick, Harbaugh doesn't want to be fired for anything that comes out with this sign stealing stuff. Number one, that tells you that it's probably worse than we all thought and that it's not quite over. But number two, why would you just not give it to him if you're Michigan? Is that really that outlandish of a request? It doesn't mean that he can't get fired for something else. It doesn't mean that in 3 years, if he does this again or has a recruiting violation or whatever, that he doesn't get fired for that. The interesting thing is he jamming this NFL thing down their throats? Is he saying, hey, I got no deal here. I don't want this written in that I can't leave for an NFL job. It sounds like Michigan wanted it in the deal that he couldn't leave this year. But I think the door is open for years to come. Now, if you're Jim Harbaugh, you're without J.J. McCarthy, you're not going to have Blake Corum, they're leaving to go for the NFL, you might be saying the rebuild is now on at Michigan. Do you want to go back? I think the bigger thing of anything with Harbaugh is does he want to go back and have to rebuild Michigan again? Now, he already did it and did it successfully, and the work has been done. The hard work, in my opinion, has been done. I just think he's going to go back. If you're Michigan, frankly, I think it'd be stupid to not give him that deal. He wants it written in there that he can't be fired for the sign stealing stuff. Fine. Michigan seemed to go all in that they didn't care about it anyway. Give him what he wants. I think he's going to go back there. I do.
Alabama's second-team All-American freshman safety Caleb Downs is entering the transfer portal.
Exodus.
This comes after a shocking retirement from Nick Saban, Matt, and a lot of people think that a potential landing spot is going to be right here in Columbus.
That'd be nice. Come on up, man. And that's transfer portal. We'll take all these guys. Ohio State is prime. Ohio State has had a great offseason. That has saved Ryan Day's job, or at least took some of the heat off of it there. We'll get to the AD hiring in just I'm going to steal your morning update. We'll talk about the new AD next. But I think Ohio State is still a landing spot. They're hot, and you also look at it and say, Ohio State it's kind of open for them right now. If Michigan is not going to be the power that you think, Oregon, Washington seems to have taken it. It's really going to be Ohio State and Oregon that run the Big Ten now. It's crazy to see. With the new expansion, you're all but assured that you're going to make it. And Ohio State's had the best offseason that you could ask for from a player standpoint. Biggest for me is getting Travion Henderson back, then getting Judkins. Then I frankly think JTT. Yes, I'll listen to Will Howard. I'm excited for that. But all these moves are happening. I think Ohio State's primed for all that. So, Alabama did the best they could with Kalen DeBoer. That's a tough job to have, man. That's going to be a really tough job. And there's probably going to be a downturn for Ohio State. So we'll see. Can I talk about the new AD for a second? So they hire Ross Bjork, like the artist Bjork, maybe? I don't know. Folks, he's coming from Texas A&M, where he had to fire Jimbo Fisher with one of the largest payouts in history, and then he hires Mike Elko? I don't know, man. And there's all this scuttlebutt that I frankly can't get into on Ohio State, where they had all these Gene Smith disciples all over the country, and they didn't do that. They went to a completely new direction with hiring Ross Bjork. Dude, he's coming out of a place where, again, a massive buyout, having to let go of Jimbo Fisher, and then really some people thinking botching the new hiring of Mike Elko down there at Texas A&M. I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see. Because make no mistake, the AD has a lot of impact on how good your football team is. I will give him the benefit of the doubt for right now. But I don't think this was a slam dunk. I don't know. I just don't think it was.
All right, well, Matt, there may be a new way to watch our favorite sports teams.
Yes,
reportedly, Amazon poised to save bankrupt Diamond Sports with a $100 million deal to stream 5 MLB teams.
So the thing is, the Guardians are not one of those teams. It's from New York Post. The rights would include the Tigers, the Royals, the Marlins, the Brewers, and the Tampa Bay Rays. By the way, the New York Post still calls them the Cleveland Indians in this, which is not a good thing. Diamond, which broadcasts under the Bally's brand, will continue to televise 11 MLB teams, which is for it has rights on cable, though it might dump the Guardians and the Rangers before it emerges from bankruptcy. What happens? I am like a lot of people watching this show right now or listening. I'm the average person. I want to watch my sports teams in the most economical way. I want to watch them the cheapest way that I can. I already have Amazon Prime. Most everybody in the world does. If you told me that the Cavs and the Guardians and the Blue Jackets were just on Amazon Prime, I'm cutting cable. I will tell you this is a conversation my wife and I have so much. I have cable right now. I don't really want to tell you who my provider is, but you could probably guess. It rhymes with universe. That's who I have. I don't even think it rhymes with it. It is universe is kind of who it is.
Looks like what?
It kind of is a rhyme. Schmay TNT is who I am. And I've been with them, dude, for 12 years. And they've raised my rate every single year. I want to cut cable so badly. But I do that, and I then lose. And I know I could buy Bally's on its own and all that. Dude, I'm telling you, if that day comes that they move all of these teams to Amazon Prime, I'm calling, I'm canceling, I'm getting YouTube TV, I'm getting Hulu Live, and we'll probably have a good debate on the show of which one I should pick. I want nothing more for than this to happen. The thing is, it doesn't sound like it's going to be anytime close. Like, the big news this morning was, for all of this coming out, is yes, Amazon's going to jump in, but also that a judge gave an extension to Bally's to try to find a way out to appease their creditors. This is important stuff. MLB and Amazon did not return calls for comment from the Post. Diamond and Sinclair announced the news this morning. Well, I want to get this all over with. I want to get it done. And I would love to go back to the cable world that we used to live in. I pay an amount. It's not too bad. Bro, I pay $200 a month. $200 a month for cable and internet. That's insane. That is too much. And I'm already grandfathered in on the internet, so if I left, I lose that price. It's nuts. It is absolutely insane, everything that's going on. I'd love to make the jump. I would, but I got to see what happens with my sports teams. I got to watch. I have to. There's no point. I know people are tweeting, just get an Amazon Fire Stick or jailbreak this or do that. I'd rather just be able to watch it when I want to watch it. But it's not, and this is important. Like, we're going to have to see how this plays out, thinking it's really, it's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. So we'll see how all that plays out. Great stuff on the morning update. Updates as we go. Don't see anything yet official for the Browns making their moves with their coaching staff this morning. Ryan, when you think about the moves, let's go back to our Twitter question this morning. Do you want Kevin Stefanski to continue calling plays? That's our question this morning. Early results. 53-47. People say no. But it's close. That was my first gut reaction when I heard that the Browns were going to move on from Alex Van Pelt. This is now the most open the door has been for you to find an offensive play caller that is your OC and not Kevin Stefanski. Now, it depends how you feel about Kevin Stefanski as the play caller. Us, I think he does a pretty good job. And I'm not ready to make a move just for move's sake. But if Kevin Stefanski himself feels like the right move is to bring in a true OC for Deshaun Watson, then I'm going to trust his gut reaction on that. And it's going to take a little bit for me to not dive into if you take this away from him, just take the head coaching job away from him. I don't think that's true. He's done enough as your head coach. He's your coach of the year, for God's sakes. Why you're not moving on from him. So maybe this is a position of power that Kevin Stefanski could make this move. Can I get negative on you for a second there, Ryan? What about scapegoats? What about that? Where if it goes bad with Deshaun Watson, and make no mistake, if it goes bad with Deshaun Watson this year, it's going to be everybody that's on the hook. And everybody is going to be on pins and needles, and they're going to make these moves and that. I have this, it's just gnawing at me fear that Stefanski and Watson are not a match. They just don't work. And as smart as I think Kevin Stefanski is, and as good as I think he is at his job, you would say, all right, dude, just scheme up an offense. Just come up with something for Deshaun Watson. This isn't Madden, okay? Or EA Sports and NCAA football, which reportedly got its release date. People are fighting back. July 24th was reported. There are some people that say it's not true. But anyway, it's not as simple as going to Madden and picking your offensive playbook and hitting X or Y or A or B, or depending on which you play on, and calling your plays. I have that fear that Watson and Stefanski are not a good match. And maybe this OC hire is the thing to bridge that gap, and somebody that could bring in a fresh mind, a new look at things, different philosophy, and they can kind of meld these things together. Because make no mistake, this is not just on Kevin Stefanski changing everything for him for Deshaun Watson. I'm going to need Deshaun Watson to change some things. He's continued to get hurt by running. That's got to stop. That's also one of the best things that he does. It's just, it's all these things that I need these guys to figure it the hell out is the problem. And knowing that this year is, dude, that's it. That is it. I might be putting the cart before the horse to say I assume this defense is going to be just as good, maybe even better next year under year 2 of Jim Schwartz. I'm going to look and say with that offensive line, getting healthy and getting these guys back, they're going to be just as good as they were last year when healthy. Receivers, you get a new guy, you bring back Nick Chubb. It's all about this, the coming together of Watson with this offensive scheme. And maybe Kevin Stefanski felt like Alex Van Pelt's not the guy to do that. I need to go find somebody else that can do this. And also, there's a lot of coaches that are going to be available. With all of these coaching searches and all these, there's going to be shakeups, and there's going to be guys that are out of a job. We know this more than anything with the Browns and just coaching in general. You bring in friends. You bring in guys that you used to work with, right? So there are guys that are going to lose their jobs who didn't deserve that. There are going to be people that lose their jobs that were good at what they did, and they're still going to be out on the street. Don't I know that? And you're going to be sitting there, and you'll be saying, all right, come on with us now. You got a relationship with this guy. You know that this is a guy that has your pedigree or what you're looking for, and you bring them in. to, again, bridge the gap. That's it. That's maybe what this move was. Because when I do look at let's just look at the Alex Van Pelt era here, knowing that it's Kevin Stefanski who's called the plays. Ryan, Alex Van Pelt's best years were with Baker Mayfield and Joe Flacco. They're not here anymore. They're not going to be here anymore. And you turn it over to a quarterback that just maybe it doesn't work for AVP. And it's also, would you look at it negatively if Kevin Stefanski admitted that, yes, Deshaun Watson is not my type of quarterback, and I need help to get him to the level that we need him at? Would you look at that and say that that's weakness, that's a bad thing, or that's a positive thing? Because he's coming from a position of strength, he's coached here and they're not getting rid of him. I would choose to look at that as a positive. He could bury his head in the sand and say it's my way or the highway, or that famous Hugh Jackson line about he drives the bus, and he could look at Deshaun Watson and say, you will conform to the offense that I want to run, and we're going to do the things that I want to do here. But Kevin Stefanski, at least on this move, I don't think is doing that. That is a positive thing. I'm choosing to look at this from a positive level to say that there's a disconnect between how Watson needs to play and what we need out of him and what Kevin Stefanski can do. And I think this move, the offensive coordinator, signifies that.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I really have any room here to be upset, because what are your options, okay? Kevin Stefanski keeps play calling. We get a new OC in here, and maybe you get more of the same that you did last year. Or
potentially
the flip side, okay, we bring in an offensive guy who can unlock, I know we use that word a lot, but unlock Deshaun Watson, maybe open up the playbook, maybe even somebody that's worked with Deshaun in the past.
That's a good point. I was going to try to look that up quick to see.
And then I wonder what the internal discussions are within the Browns, talking with Deshaun Watson, and how much are they valuing his opinion and his say on who they bring in an offensive coordinator. I don't know what that percentage would be in terms of how much they take his word for gospel and what he needs to be able to perform well in the system. I don't know.
Was it 2020 that Watson lit it up? What year was that?
19.
Okay, because in Watson's career, here, I'm going to pull up the stats here. Well, okay. So here's what I'm talking about. 2019 was the year they went 10-5 and made the playoffs. 2020 was the year the team sucked, but he put up all the passing numbers and all that. So let me get to the 2020 Houston Texans. Their head coach was who? Bill O'Brien. He got fired for Romeo Crennel. The offensive coordinator that year, again, knowing that it was Bill, was Tim Kelly. Do you know where Tim Kelly is right now, Ryan?
I don't.
He's the offensive coordinator of the Tennessee Titans. Now, he just got elevated to that job. But does the new coach come in and make a change? Yes, Bill O'Brien is available. The assistant quarterback coach was TJ Yates, former player in the league. He's now the wide receivers coach for the Atlanta Falcons. So take that for what it's worth. Well, let's go back to 2019 when they had all that success. 2019, again, still Bill O'Brien. Tim Kelly was your offensive coordinator. Maybe that's it. Maybe you go get Tim Kelly. Again, just elevated offensive coordinator. But if they bring in a coach that doesn't want to retain him, I don't know. Oh, no, wait, what am I saying? Dude, it's 2024. Why didn't you tell me?
What do you
Tim
mean?
Kelly got elevated last year.
Oh, okay.
So maybe he's out of a job. Maybe you go get Tim Kelly. Should I send that tweet out? Should I bring that up here a little bit about Tim Kelly?
Bring it up.
Interesting. Huh. Maybe that's the guy they got their eye on. And you could bring him in, and that kind of, again, is a guy that could help Deshaun Watson here.
This was an interesting tweet from Obo Okoronkwo at 9:24 this morning. He tweeted, "The universe got a funny way of showing what's for/not for you."
Wonder if that's surgery related for him, or if that's something with the... I don't know. Could Obo Okoronkwo really be upset about...
No.
You know, could he really be upset about an offensive coordinator or, this move kind of stuff like that?
No, I'm sure it's not even related.
Oh my gosh. Do you see this about Jim Irsay?
No.
So do you know that he was in the hospital for a respiratory illness? According to TMZ, he was found unresponsive in his bed due to a drug overdose. Oh my gosh.
Is that just now?
Yeah. Came down from TMZ Sport. I'm reading this on Busted Coverage. Indianapolis Colts owner Jim Irsay had been dealing with a respiratory illness, but now more details are surfacing about the medical emergency that he suffered back in December. According to TMZ Sports, Irsay was found unresponsive in his bed from a suspected drug overdose. The Carmel Police Department stated that Irsay was cold to the touch and gasping for air with a blue skin tone when they found him. Irsay and his family have asked for privacy in a statement, and they'll release additional information as he continues to recover. Police attempted to wake Irsay with a sternum rub, but was unsuccessful. They then administered a dose of Narcan, which he responded to. For those who don't know, Narcan is the thing that reverses an opioid overdose. Paramedics eventually responded to the scene and took over life-saving efforts before transferring Irsay to a local hospital. While Irsay was treated for an overdose, it is unknown what Mr. Irsay had ingested prior to our arrival. However, as I said, Narcan is usually used to treat people suffering for an opioid overdose. Oh my gosh.
It says an ESPN Colts reporter noted at the time that Irsay, who's one of the more highly visible owners in the NFL, had not been seen in public for several weeks.
Yeah. And again, he's been open about his battle with alcohol and pain pills throughout his life. I hope he's doing all right, man. But seriously, that might be, and again, we've had ownership changes for a lot of other reasons. You know, maybe that's something we got to keep an eye on. If Jim Irsay, and I think his daughter is heavily involved with the team, so maybe they just turn things over there. But again, just came down. Jim Irsay was found unresponsive due to potentially a drug overdose back in December. Man, I wish him the best. That's some scary stuff right there. All right, let's get to Time Hop. We'll do that when we return. We'll go back this day in history. We'll tell you what happened, including a pretty important hire for the Cleveland Browns this day in history, and a bit of an unfortunate playoff game that we'll tell everybody about as well. I got a TV show and a movie for you. I don't know how you're going to do. They're kind of obscure, just a little bit. We'll get to that with Time Up. Coming up, we'll get back into the Cavs, our typical boost. I want to get geared up for the Cavs and Bucks tonight. We'll get all that coming up. Fontana Show right here on Big Play. Let's shove it a timeout. We'll tell you what happened this day, the 17th of January. The date, I had to put in, Ryan, that this day, 2024, the Browns reportedly let go of Axman, Pelt, and Stump Mitchell. But on happier tidings, 1 year ago today, the report surfaced the Browns are going to hire Jim Schwartz as their defensive coordinator. I mean, one of the best hires since 1999. How could it not be? And again, I don't want to get tied up in the whose decision was it. Do you give credit to Kevin Stefanski? Is that more to Paul DePodesta? I frankly don't care. He's here. It was successful. And give credit to everybody, right? Because Kevin Stefanski clearly had to be on board about it. You had to look at it and say the front office had to be on board, and it worked out. People, and I know football can be a giant power struggle, but you got to believe that one of the best things that has happened to the Cleveland Browns is the power struggle, in my opinion, is over. Think about any of this that is created about taking over this job or doing that. It's all from us. It's all from the fans, because that is what we know. We know an era where the coach and the general manager couldn't even be in the same room with one another. Go listen to Come Get Some with Blake and Greg Williams. Coach Greg will tell you all about it. The struggles that this team had about just people working together, that's over. It's gone. So you can just look at it and say, you made the right hire. I'm not worried about who gets credit or who doesn't get credit. It really doesn't matter to us. At the end of the day, the Haslams are the owners. They are going to be the ones that make the decisions. Do they empower the other people in the organization to maybe have heavy influence or sometimes make the decision? Sure. But I don't think it's this blanking match anymore of, I made this move over here. You want to know what that comes from? That comes from people needing to prove that they're the smartest person in the room or that they're good at their jobs. I don't get that vibe with any of these people. Everybody freaks out about Paul DePodesta. You want to know the one thing I don't see about Paul DePodesta? He's not out there trying to take credit for it. People use him as a bit of a lightning rod and the mistakes that go in this way. Bro, when's the last time you even heard from Paul DePodesta, right? If he was really all about taking the credit or wanting the credit, he'd be having press conferences every other week about the job that he did or how good this was and this, that. I don't get that vibe with this team, which is another reason why as they search for this offensive coordinator, I believe it's in the best move for the team, and it comes from strength. It comes from a bunch of people that are secure in their positions, and they believe in what they do. And knowing that more changes are coming, you're probably going to lose Glenn Cook or Cat Raish this offseason. They're in the hunt here for some of these GM jobs. That's a mark of a good team. Yes, we get comp picks for those. By the way, bet story picks. But no matter who the OC that comes in here, I'm going to believe that it's the right guy. I'm going to believe that every one of the hires that they're going to run through, whoever it might be, it's going to be the right move for the team. And I believe in that. And that's something that we need to weed out. And that's something that I think they have weeded out a little bit with this team. So 1 year ago today, it was Jim Schwartz reportedly hired by the Cleveland Browns. And again, perfect hire, runs the right scheme here. And dude, I can't tell you how excited I am to see this defense in year 2 under him. It's going to grow. It's going to get better. You might have some different players out there, but imagine what they're going to be able to do with yet another offseason. It's going to be a great year for that defense, I call it. This day, 2022, do you remember that horrible snowstorm on Martin Luther King Day? I remember it. I barely made it into work. Horrible snowstorm for Cleveland this day, 2022.
I would have been in Cincy. That's probably why.
Oh, that's probably why you missed it a little bit there. All right, Ryan. This day, 2021, the divisional round of the playoffs. Browns fall to Kansas City 22-17. When you think about that game, what do you think of?
Chad Henne.
And Rashard Higgins fumbling into the end. So that's what I remember, too. Yeah. But you're right. Mahomes had to leave the game. Chad Henne leads them down. We scored a touchdown in the fourth quarter, 22-17. Higgins fumble, all that. Baker, 204, a touchdown interception. Mahomes, 255 and a touchdown before he had to leave that game. Nick Chubb, 69 yards. The touchdown went to Kareem Hunt. Mahomes also rushed for another touchdown before Chad freaking Henne comes in gets up that first down and ices the game on out for the Kansas City Chiefs this day, 2021. What a game. What a game. But it was a very unfortunate one. This day, 2012, Dan Gilbert announced he was buying the Cleveland Gladiators. You know, there's a world, Ryan, that I was the Gladiators beat reporter for 2 years. I went to every Gladiators game for 2 years, man. They were good. They went to the championship one year. They won it 1 year, I think.
Gladiators.
They're done. The AFL folded. The Arena League folded. They're no longer a thing. Which is sad, because I knew a lot of people that liked going to the Gladiators games.
What's the women's league? Was that the Cleveland Crush? Is that what it was?
I think so, because there was that. Well, there was the.
I was a little more interested in that league.
Are you talking about the lingerie league, Ryan? Come on, man. What are you? Did we have a team in that? Did we?
We had something.
The lingerie football league? Family show.
Lingerie's family.
I guess. So the X League was rebranded. It started in 2009 as the Lingerie Football League. It was later rebranded as the Legends Football League. It announced in 2019 that it would not be holding a season in 2020. It didn't operate in 2021 amid the pandemic, and then the 8-team 2022 season spanned June to September. The league is owned by Mike Ditka?
Yeah.
I don't think it's still a thing. There's no way that it's
They
still
should bring
a
it
thing.
back.
It's hiatus and restructuring. There are no plans for a 2023 season. They are announcing a 2024 season. They planned to announce it this past October, but never did. We did not have a former team. Oh, no, you're right. The Cleveland Crush.
Yeah, I was right.
The Cleveland Crush. Then the Toledo Crush.
They need to bring it back.
I'm sure they do. We'll have a segment every week on it. The Crush were never revived after their 2017 season, after they relocated. Well, all right. There you go. Congratulations. Didn't think that would be in a time hop today, but here we are. This day, 1996, the Rock Hall inducted their 11th class. David Bowie, Pink Floyd, Jefferson Airplane, and Gladys Knight and the Pips. That's a pretty good class right there, coming up soon. This day, 1995, the Rams announced they were moving to St. Louis. Of course, they went back to L.A. It all kind of worked out. This day, 1988, the fumble. Don't need to really comment on that any further, but this day, 1988. This day, 1929, Popeye made his first ever debut in a comic strip. I watched the Robin Williams movie. Not great. I don't know. It is what it is. This day, 1916, the PGA was first formed.
What year?
1916.
Nice.
The Cleveland Naps changed their name to the Indians this day, 1915. So there you go. Very happy birthday goes out to former Browns linebacker Dick Ambrose. What job does Dick Ambrose have now?
I have no idea.
He is a judge in the city of Cleveland. Judge Dick Ambrose.
I didn't know that. I don't even know who that is, to be honest with you.
Wow. All right. Dick Ambrose celebrating birthday. Former Cavalier legend Dwayne Wade, former Cavalier Tyler Zeller, Dan Gilbert celebrating a birthday today, Al Capone, Steve Harvey, Betty White, James Earl Jones, Muhammad Ali, Jim Carrey,
Damn.
Ben Franklin,
Damn.
Kid Rock,
Damn.
Lil Jon,
Damn.
Maury Povich,
Damn.
and Zoe Deschanel.
Okay.
What a day for birthdays.
Isn't she married to one of the Property Brothers?
Is she?
Zoe
I have no
Deschanel.
idea. I believe it. You made it sound pretty good on that. But yes, all this day in history. All right, I actually have a band that was formed this day too. This day, 1981. I can't even think of it. Kickstart My Heart. Sung by what band?
Oh, Motley Crue.
Motley Crue was formed this day, 1981. So then a movie and a television show for you. We start with a TV show. This day, 2003. I never watched this show, so it's going to be really hard for me to describe it. It was a show that was on Disney Channel and probably goes down as one of the
That's
more...
So Raven.
That's right.
Oh my God.
How did you know that?
You said Disney and you were
Yeah.
like 2003.
Yes.
So I just kind of guessed.
Yes.
Yeah, wow.
I'm glad you bailed me out because
Yeah.
I had no way to describe That's So Raven.
It's a great show.
All right, there you go. All right, good job. This day, 2003 came out. And then a movie for you. This day, 1997. He goes down as one of the greater comedians that this world has ever seen, and like so many, unfortunately, left us at an early age.
Nice Dead Poet Society?
No.
Are you not talking about Robin Williams? Or are you?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he applies to that, but it's not the comedian that I'm talking.
Okay.
And the story goes, oh man, as an adopted son of a martial artist, he goes, you got it?
No, keep going.
Okay. He goes to a famous place in America to try to help out a woman in peril. You don't even, you're off on the comedian, right?
Yeah.
Can't even think of the comedian.
Or
Unfortunately, and again, 1997, this was one of his last film roles. He passed away a few years after that.
trying to think of the comedian.
Actually, I'm sorry, he would pass away in 1997. So yes, this was literally one of his last roles. He rose to fame on Saturday Night Live.
Okay, I definitely know it.
Okay.
Is it Beverly Hills something Ninja?
Yes, that is correct.
Chris
Nice.
Farley?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's pretty, I didn't know if you'd get that. It's a lesser known one. It's still pretty funny. It's no Tommy Boy. Nothing will ever touch Tommy Boy. That's in a class of its own. But yes, Beverly Hills Ninja came out this day, 1997. So that's O'Raven, Motley Crue, and Beverly Hills Ninja finishing up there with a little bit of time hop. To the Cavs tonight. Here we go. Ryan, can we get back up again? Let's go. Here we go. Our boost is ready to go, folks. Over for Jared Allen and under on Brooke Lopez. Boosted up to that plus 600 tonight with our friends at Tipico. Here's how you get involved with us. Download the app. Download Tipico. You can use it on your desktop as well. Use the code Fontana100 when you sign up. You deposit and bet $25 on whatever you want. Ryan, I don't even want to think about what would a $25 bet on our parlay look like.
150, if my math is correct.
Well, no, it's got to be more than that, right?
If you
Well,
bet
maybe.
25?
Bet 25 at plus 600. Plus 600. A $25 wager gets you $175.
Oh, it's
170. You were close. You were pretty close. $175 if you want to play it out with us on that. But the biggest thing is, again, you get those bonus bets. So, again, use the code Fontana100 when you get signed up. Deposit and bet $25. You get those $100 in bonus bets. You can place them on whatever you'd like with our friends at Tipico. We got our boost rocking and rolling. To the Cavs for tonight, it's a measuring stick game for me. I have a bad feeling about the game, which is fine. I'm still going to watch. I'm still, very interested to see what this Cavs team is got. But, Ryan, they have been on, again, 10-3 stretch since losing Darius Garland. They've actually exceeded my expectations in this stretch. So much to the point of, I really don't care what they do from this point until you get Garland and Mobley back. They've already done enough for me. They've done quite a few. They're back up into that 4 seed. They're back in the conversation of what we expect them to be. The other thing, have they unlocked some of their potential without having Mobley and Garley? Garley? We'll just call them that. Evan Mobley and Darius Garland. Have they unlocked something there that they can now grab onto when these guys come back? The debate will rage, right? Jared Allen has ascended because Evan Mobley has not been there. You've had to have Donovan Mitchell step up. Your problems don't solve themselves when these guys come back. The fact is, your 4 best players play just 2 positions. You have 2 similar guys in Garland and Mitchell. You got 2 similar guys in Allen and Mobley. But what can JB Bickerstaff do now that he's seen this? Now that he's had to play this a little bit? The elevation of your guys like Sam Merrill and Craig Porter Jr. I wish Karras would play tonight. He's got the wrist injury. We'll see if he can go or not. That certainly will change things for me on how I feel about this game for tonight. But Ryan, I have been so impressed. I've been so impressed from what I've seen from the Cavs. And tonight, I just kind of want to see a little bit of what they got for the Bucks. I think the Bucks are still, they're not the best team in the East. I think it is still the Celtics. But that Bucks team is really good with Dame Lillard now. Little measuring stick game for me tonight.
Yeah, this is going to be a real litmus test. You know, we've been beating the teams that we should beat, but even then, winning those games against the lesser known talent teams without 2 of your 3 best players is still a hard task in the NBA. But I think what's been most impressive for me, though, is our defense has still been playing really, really good. It's back to being one of our identities, and that's without Mobley, arguably our best defender, certainly down there in the paint. But yeah, they've proven to stay pretty steady. And like you said, the emergence of Sam Merrill and Craig Porter has been super, super encouraging. And then Karras has been thrown in there to pretty much say, hey, if Donovan's not getting us a bucket, then it's going to be you we need to rely on. And he's been pretty much fulfilling that role that we needed to. And it'll only help once those guys get back and Karras' minutes tick down a little bit.
I'm a little worried for tonight. Watch this game. Even though we took the under, Milwaukee is scoring a full 10 points more per game than the Cavs. They're almost at 125. The Cavs are at 113. Milwaukee shoots 50% from the field and 38% from behind the arc. So we have to keep our eye out for that. Now, you flip over to Milwaukee's defense. Same thing. They're going to, all of a sudden, I don't like the over, or I don't like the under all of a sudden. But let's get to our trends for this game. Milwaukee is just 1-7 against the spread their last 8 games. But folks, they get a lot of big spreads. Do you know of their games played this year? Milwaukee Bucks have played 40, or they are 28-11. So they have played 39 games. They've only been a dog in 1. They have been favored in every game that they've played this year except 1. So they are 1-7 against the spread their last 8, but they are 13-5 straight up in their last 18 games. How about playing the Cavs? Milwaukee is just 3-6 against the spread their last 9 games against the Cavs. They are 11-5 straight up in their last 16 games against the Cavs, and they're only 2-4 against the spread their last 6 games on the road. Talking about the Bucks coming to Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, the under 10 out of their last 8 games has hit between the Cavs and the Bucks here in Cleveland. You flip it over for the Cavs, the under has hit 6 out of their last 9 games and 8 of their last 12 games against the Bucks. That's why I went with the under tonight. Cleveland is 4-1 against the spread their last 5 games. They're an impressive 5-1 straight up in their last 6 games at home. I'd stayed away from the spread if I had to pick one. Started at 5. It's down to 4.5 or 3.5 on Tipico. I would like the Cavs to cover. I think the Cavs are going to be spicy tonight. You want to know the one thing that I kind of like for tonight? Cavs first quarter winner. That they might win the first quarter tonight. So I might get that going there with our friends at Tipico. Excited tonight. See what the Bucks have when they come to town. We'll see how it goes. I'm really going to be interested now, Ryan, as we play this out and start to get the news coming around about the Browns OC job, because you want to know the other thing? There's been no official announcement that Alex Van Pelt is leaving. There's been reports, and there's also been a little bit that it's not confirmed. Like, I guess we're all just assuming when he's telling players about leaving, you assume that's pretty sure, but there's nothing official from the team yet, which I think is a little interesting.
Yeah, I mentioned to you this morning, it kind of seemed like that got leaked because he was telling players that he was let go, but, the Browns wanted to wait to make that announcement officially. But it seems maybe, you'd think unless, I'm just trying to imagine a scenario where it comes out where he's not let go, you know what I mean? And it's just somehow words got twisted and all that. But it does kind of seem like it's all but true.
Well, and especially I think you've hit maybe that point of no return where
it's like, well, yeah.
What are you going to do, right? Do you think there's any other potential moves? I wouldn't think so. Like Jim Schwartz kind of runs his def. I thought about that. Schwartz got here. He retained some guys. He brought some in. I thought that there might be a little change on the defensive side. If Jim Schwartz had a friend or a colleague become available and wanted to bring them in, we'll see. I'm kind of shocked it's on the offensive side. I really would have picked the deep, which again, you have the number 1 ranked defense. You're one of the best defenses in football. Why mess with that? But Jim Schwartz might see a guy available. I guess I wouldn't be shocked if we see a few more things coming up here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all, especially maybe a couple position coaches. I don't know how in tune they are, with the offense as a whole and how much, cachet they have with that organization over there in Berea. But I wouldn't be surprised to see a move made, but especially on defense now that it seems like we're kind of already clearly moving on a little bit on the offensive side of the ball.
Final thing I wanted to get to, Dan Graziano did what we did earlier. We made all our selection. We're going to put that up in a graphic. We're going to send it out at the show, at Matt Fontana Show. Drops a follow there. I'm actually going to send it to you right now, all right? It will have no subject line, but it's for me. You know what it is. So anyway, let's go to Dan Graziano now. and he predicted all the coaching hiring predictions, where he thinks they're going to go. The Atlanta Falcons, his prediction, Bill Belichick. He thinks he's clear favorite here unless another job opens that as a quarterback already in place and offers him a chance to win those 15 games to pass Don Shula. Atlanta's already interviewed him. He thinks he goes there. Carolina Panthers, his prediction, Brian Callahan, who is Bill
Bengals?
Callahan's son. He is with the Bengals. And there was some scuttlebutt that Callahan, when he took a job, might call his dad to come coach on his staff. But sounds like he might stay with the Browns. Vegas Raiders, Antonio Pierce. We agree with that. The L.A. Chargers, his prediction,
Yes, sir.
Jim Harbaugh. There's a ton of smoke around this situation. Harbaugh is known to be a fan of Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert, and the Chargers are a team desperate for both attention and wins as they work to establish their foothold in L.A. I didn't think about that, too. He kind of fits that L.A. model. So we'll see. Chargers are also looking for a GM, which they could wait to land Harbaugh, then ask who he wants as his GM. That's a lot of power for him.
Matt, what teams do we play next year? What AFC division?
AFC West.
So that would mean Harbaugh's would reunite.
We'd face Harbaugh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, or those guys will face each other, too. Right.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's right, yeah. For Seattle, Dan Graziano's pick, Mike Vrabel. Vrabel's getting a job. I just don't know where.
I almost said that, but I like him to Atlanta more.
Tennessee Titans, Aaron Glenn is a strong candidate for that job, according to Graziano. Washington Commanders, Ben Johnson there, and that's it. So really, as we look at it, Brian Johnson would not get a job, and Bobby Slowick would be out as two guys that we picked to get jobs coming around there from Dan Graziano. But still, I would say that as this all kind of plays out, you see who kind of falls through the weeds here, falls through the cracks, and see if the Browns will pick up an OC through all of that. Interesting stuff. It's a lock that Belichick's going to Atlanta, right? It's got to be.
If he coaches,
it's got to be. Yeah. I think he wants to coach. I think he wants to coach. There's no way that he doesn't. We'll see. Final thing, I was going to save this for tomorrow, but now it's as good as time as any. Ranking the 32 rookie classes in the NFL. This is from Aaron Schatz, ESPN writer. Of all 32 teams, where do you think the Cleveland Browns rookie class ranked?
Well, let me think about this logically. Okay.
Cedric Tillman, DeJuan Jones, Ika, who never played, Isaiah McGuire, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Cam Mitchell, and Luke Whippler.
Okay. DeJuan Jones, massive hit.
Ronnie Hickman, undrafted. He counts.
Ronnie Hickman, that's a hit. Cedric Tillman, can't really say for the future what it is, but for this season standing, I would say fail. Ika didn't do anything. Isaiah McGuire, okay. I'm going to say we ranked in the top 15.
22nd.
Really?
22nd.
Really?
He writes, the Browns didn't have a pick until the third round, so even a rank this low suggests more value than would have been expected from their rookie class. He talks about Hickman, DeJuan Jones, and all that kind of stuff. But he says 22nd in the NFL from Aaron Schatz. The best rookie class, the Houston Texans. Will Anderson, C.J. Stroud. Drew Scruggs is a starter, Tank Dell. Yeah, I would say that worked out pretty good. The Rams are second with Puka Nacua.
Are the Lions up there?
The Lions were fourth.
Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs, Campbell, Laporta, Brian Branch. I mean, they found quite a little bit. The worst rookie class in the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Mozzie Smith miss Schoonmaker, their tight end. The worst was there. Denver was 31st, San Francisco 30th. Across the league. So pretty interesting stuff there. I think we'll dive into that a little bit more on the show tomorrow. All right, Cavs, come on. I'm excited for tonight. I'm ready to go for the Cavs. Our boost, check it out at Tipico. Use that code Fontana100 when you sign up. Dive in on our boost tonight. Be excited. We'll talk a little more Cavs tomorrow. I think we'll try to get somebody on to talk a little wine and gold tomorrow after the game. Coming up today, we got bonus time with Bruce Drennan. Don't forget, not only Josh and Maria Cribs last night, I watched a few minutes of Enter the Jungle.
I watched it yesterday as well.
Is it Enter the Jungle? Welcome to the jungle.
Welcome to
Inside the jungle.
No, it's Enter the Jungle.
Enter the jungle. I was screwed. Our newest show, it's all Bengals. James Rapine, we love James. We've had him on the show. He's really good at what he does, folks. You got a Bengals fan that you know. That is now on Tuesday nights right here on Big Play, our newest show. So coming up later today, Chico 12 to 2. Don't miss that with him. And then, of course, coming up later tonight, we got Drennan, bonus time with that. Appreciate everybody joining us there. We're back tomorrow, 9 to 11, same time, right here on Big Play. Fontana Show on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Check us out on YouTube as well. We're all across the gambit. Go get it tonight, Cats. Excited. Can't wait for this game tonight. For Ryan Tyler, I am Matt Fontana, and as always, take it easy.